محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم وفقنا وسائر المشتغلين للعلم والعمل الصالح بحق محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. قال الإمام علي عليه السلام, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, remedy your anger with silence and your carnal desire through your reason. قال الإمام علي عليه السلام, داووا الغضب بالصمت, داووا الغضب بالصمت والشهوة بالعقل. داووا الغضب بالصمت والشهوة بالعقل. With Islamic laws, we reach to issue number 792. Still we are with the issues of direction of Qibla. If a person does not possess any means of determining the direction of Qibla, just like he doesn't have a compass, doesn't have a GPS, doesn't have any internet on him, he doesn't have anything to determine the direction of Qibla, or in spite of his efforts, he cannot, in spite of his efforts, that means he go here and there, ask somebody, try to find the graves of the Muslims, try to find the mosque in order to think or to see the inch, and from the inch of the mosque he can find what the direction of Qibla, but he doesn't find that in spite of his efforts. He cannot form an idea about it. He doesn't know from east, west, or north, or the south, which direction. He doesn't know that. It will be sufficient for him to offer his prayer facing any direction. This is a verdict. It is enough for him to have any direction and to pray for this direction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter actually if the Qibla in that side or not. Why? Because this person has done all his effort to what? To seek the direction of the Qibla, but he doesn't find. Okay? So it is enough for him to pray on any direction or facing any direction. And the recommended precaution, that's hukum, was the verdict, was the fatwa. Now as a recommended precaution, and the recommended precaution is that if he has sufficient time at his disposal, he has enough time, like what? Like if he did his prayer, or if he does his prayers at the prime time of the Salah, when the time of Salah is just set in, he started to pray his time. As a recommended precaution, he should offer the same 4 times. What does it mean? That means, for example, he will pray Salat al-Dhuhr from this direction, and then pray the Salat al-Dhuhr from this direction, and Salat al-Dhuhr from that direction, and Salat al-Dhuhr from this direction, for 4 directions. He should offer the same prayer 4 times, each time facing everyone of the 4 directions. Actually, if he does so, that means absolutely he is going to what? He is going to have one prayer of the 4 directed to where? Directed to Qibla. Directed to Qibla. But this is, put in your mind, this is as a recommended precaution. This is as a recommended precaution. But the verdict is any direction. Any direction, because he did all his efforts, but he doesn't find what the direction of Qibla. So in this case, we tell him, okay, go and pray of any time, of any direction of the Qibla. That will be suffice. Any question? If a person is sure or guesses that Qibla is in one of the two directions. Either he is sure or he guesses that Qibla either from the south or the east. Alright, one of them. He should offer a prayer facing both. He should offer a prayer facing both. What does that mean? That means one prayer from this direction and the other prayer from the other direction, which he guesses that the Qibla is from these two directions. Issue number 794. If a person has to offer a prayer facing a few directions. If a person has to offer a prayer facing a few directions, just like the foregoing issue, and wants to offer two prayers like Dhuhr prayer and Asr prayer. Now, what he is going to do, is he going to pray Dhuhr in this direction and Dhuhr in that direction, and then go back to Asr in this direction and to Asr in the other direction? Or he has to pray Dhuhr and Asr from this direction and Dhuhr and Asr from that direction? Let's see what Sistani said. Which should be offered one after the other. The recommended precaution is that he should offer the first salat facing those few directions and then commence the second prayer. What does that mean? For example, we have Salat Maghrib and Isha, and he has to pray to the east once and to the west the other one, because these two directions, he guesses that these two directions are what? Are Qibla of them, or he is sure it is either from the east and west. In this case, he has to pray Maghrib to this direction, and he has to pray Maghrib to the other direction. Then go back to Isha to pray Isha from this direction, and then turn to the other direction and pray Isha. Not praying Maghrib and Isha for this direction and then goes to the other direction and pray Maghrib and Isha. Is this understood, inshallah? Huh? Okay, good. No question. Issue number 795. If a person who is not certain about the direction of Qibla wishes to perform acts other than Salah. Acts other than Salah, we have acts other than Salah like the acts of what? The acts of slaughtering an animal. You know, slaughtering an animal, it means what? Should be facing Qibla. Which should be done facing Qibla, like slaughtering an animal. He should act according to his sunrise. What does mean? Where he thinks that Qibla is. Where he thinks that Qibla is. He's not sure. يعني على ظنه. Okay? Where he summarizes in which direction is Qibla, he should direct the animal to that direction and slaughter it. So he should act according to his sunrise about the direction of Qibla, and if that does not seem possible, if he cannot, then performing the act facing any direction will be valid. Why if is that not possible? So this person he cannot slaughter the animal for two directions. Can he slaughter it from this direction and another direction? He cannot, because if he slaughters it to this direction, it will die. So he cannot. Okay. So if a person who is not certain about the direction of Qibla wishes to perform acts other than Salah, just like slaughtering the animals, which be done facing the Qibla. Slaughtering an animal, he should act according to his sunrise. Like for example, if the Qibla from this direction, he should put the animal facing this direction, and as he thought, and then slaughter the animal. And if that does not seem possible, then performing the act facing any direction will be valid. If you're not having any question, we have another. Yes, Sheikh Faz.
Is it the same as the former one?
I think they have a mic. They have the mic. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam,
Is
Sheikh.
it the same as the former one that talks about the prayer that you can face to any other direction?
Yes, it is the same. Yes, we said that is the same, but we give it as example. With a slaughtering animal, I cannot slaughter the animal in more than one direction.
Yeah.
So this act, I cannot do it. Okay? So which direction?
Spin around and
That couldn't be. Okay? So I cannot do that. In this case, which direction I summarize to be the Qibla, I put the animal facing that direction and slaughter it.
Are we going to talk about other materials that require facing the direction, like praying, for example, or burning? Are we going to talk about them?
Yes, and actually we talk about some of them, about the barrier of a dead body, the deceased. We did talk about that. And the other things, just like slaughtering animals, inshallah, prayers also. Covering the body in prayers. You know that the body of a musalli should be covered in salah, and it depends on if he is a male or if she is a female. Because covering the body for male, it is only two parts of his body should be covered, for his private part, while the female she should cover all of her body except what? Except her face and her hands. That's all. And the upper part of her feet. Issue number 796. While offering a prayer, a man should cover his private parts even if no one is looking at him. Not only that, but even if the person who is in front of him is a child, or if the person in front of him is what? Is an insane person. You got the idea? So he should cover his private parts. Even if no one is looking at him. Even if no one is looking at him. One of, or the female, when they ask, if I am in my private room, should I wear the hijab and the, what we call it, in salah abaya, or you should, a chadar? Yes, you should do that. And preference is that he should also cover his body from the navel up to the knee. And preference is that he, we're not talking about she, the male, pay attention, he should cover his body from the navel, min as-surra, up to the knee, ila al-rukba.
Down to the knee, not up to the knee. From the navel down to the knee. Then she go up to the knee.
Till, up here it means a preposition, till. Hey. Yeah. Issue number 797. A woman should cover her entire body while offering a prayer, including her head and hair. As a recommended precaution, she should also cover the soles of her feet The soles of her feet, it should be what? It should be covered, even the soles. This is as a recommended precaution. يعني باطن القدم باطن القدم معناتها. Okay. As a recommended precaution, she should also cover the soles of her feet. It is not necessary for her to cover that part of her face which is washed while performing wudu. What we call it al-wajh al-wudu'i. The part of the face which is washed. This, that she doesn't need to cover it. Or the hands up to the wrists. The hands up to the wrists. Up to the wrist. This should be covered. Not only in salah. Not only in salah. Even outside the house when she goes for shopping. Some of the ladies, may Allah forgive them, where's the abaya? Maybe they make their hand to give the money or to take the product from the seller. This part of the body, look, this part, only this part, it is haram. And I hope that the ladies, they are watching this lesson. This part also is haram. So how about if she make her hands, all of her hand is what? Uncovered. So it is not necessary for her to cover the part of her face and is washed while performing wudu, or the hands up to the wrist, or the upper feet up to the ankles. Upper of her feet, the upper الجزء الظاهر من قدمها, or the hands up to the wrists, or the upper feet up to the ankles. It shouldn't be covered. It shouldn't be covered. Not it shouldn't. It is not necessary. I mean, it is not necessary. But what we need from her, we need, as I recommended, she should also cover the soles of her of her feet. So, or the hands up to the wrists, or the upper feet up to the ankles. Nevertheless, in order to ensure that she has covered the obligatory parts of her body adequately, she should also cover a part of the sides of her face, as well as the lower part of her wrist and the ankles. You see, for example, if she said, okay, I will cover my hand up to the wrist, as you said, but if I move my hand for takbir, for example, or to move her for qunut, my hand or my clothes will be will be down, and part of, as you said, Shaykhana, part of my wrist will be will be uncovered. It doesn't matter if you cover it like this. For example, if you cover your hands like this with your chadar or with your abaya, so as a result, you covered what? You cover the obligatory part of your body that shouldn't be uncovered. And also your feet. If you need to cover till the ankles of your feet, you need to down the chadar or abaya. Issue number 798. When a person offers the forgotten sajda or tashahhud, either the forgotten sajda or the forgotten tashahhud. When a person offers the forgotten sajda or tashahhud, he should cover himself in the same manner. He should cover the same himself the same manner as in a prayer. That means in forgotten tashahhud or in forgotten sajda, a person should do or should cover himself just like the original salah. And the recommended precaution is that he should also cover himself at the time of offering sajdat as-sahu or sajdatay as-sahu. These issues are very important of the daily problem issues. We have to study them and we have to inquire about them. Issue number 799. If while offering a prayer, a person does not cover his private parts intentionally. Look, this person, he does not cover his private parts intentionally, deliberately, or on account of not having cared to know the rule. His prayer is void. His prayer is void. Look, this is very important. He comes at doomsday and they ask him about the salah, or they tell him you weren't praying, you didn't pray. He said, no, I was praying. They said, no, because you used to uncover your private parts deliberately, so your salah were what? Were void. So we have to pay attention. Issue number 800. If a person realizes while offering a prayer that his private parts are visible, while he is praying, he realizes that his private parts are what? Are visible. He must immediately cover them. He must immediately cover them. And it is not necessary for him to repeat the prayer. It is not necessary for him to repeat the prayer. Why? Because it happens not intentionally. Not intentionally. It happens like that. As a measure of precaution, he should not continue performing any part of the prayer as long as the private parts are visible. So, in such case, he should, first of all, while he is in the process of salah, he should cover his private parts before he is doing what? The next step or the next part of the salah. Not break down his salah. No, he should continue in his salah, but before continuing the other part of the salah, before continuing the incoming part of the salah, he should what? He should cover himself and to continue his salah. If he learns after the completion of the prayer that his private parts were visible, his prayer would be deemed valid. This person, after he finished his salah, he noticed, he realizes, somebody told him, hey, what you are doing? He said, what? They said, you are not covering your private part. He said, I don't know. How about my salah? We'll tell him that your salah is what? Is valid. Your salah is valid. Last issue number 800, number 1. 801, yes. If the dress of a person covers his private parts while he stands, but it is not cover them in another posture like ruku' or sajda, just like if he has or if he is wearing a short cloth, okay, or short dress, and this, while he is standing, this cloth or this dress or this garment is covering his private part, but while he is performing bowing, all right, or while he is in posture, is alaykum salam Sheikh, while he is Sheikh Mudaffar, تفضلوا هنا تفضلوا هنا تفضلوا هنا, while he is in posture position, so alaykum salam Sheikhna, حياكم الله. In posture position, that means this dress is not covering his private part, what he has to do? His salah will be valid if he manages to conceal them by some other means, just like by his hands, or he has something beside him to cover and conceal his private part. Doesn't matter, and his salah is what? Is valid. However, the recommended precaution is that he should not pray in such a dress. As a recommended precaution, if he has another dress which is longer than this, which is covering his private parts while in bowing, in ruku', in posture situation, in julus, or in sujood, in this case, it is a recommended precaution to do what? To have that other cloth to wear it, and not to wear the shortened one. That's all for today. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum wa al'an aduwahum.